Hello, everybody, and welcome to Backstage. My name is Haydee Cano, and I will be your hostess for tonight. Tonight, we're going to be addressing a very interesting subject. Most of the time, we go to a concert and we enjoy an amazing act, but the fact of the matter is, we never know what really happens backstage or in the days upcoming to a performance or a show. We just know we paid the money and we enjoy it. Well, tonight we're going to be talking with Bianca Laborin, which is a Latin hip-hop artist, and her manager, Mike Fakir from Leones Entertainment and Records. So let's get this party on the road.
Hold on, I got to jump in on behalf. I got to do my managerial duty. Bianca Laborin is her government name. Since there was a government shutdown, we label her as Binky. That is Binky. And Binky's going to give you her official social media.
You can follow me on all social media and digital platforms at official Binky X.
Nice.
Official Binky X on all platforms. Instagram, Facebook.
Well, thank you for that. Working like a manager already. Look at you.
All day, every day.
Well, let's get started with Bianca. Bianca, I'm sure everybody has a lot of questions for you, but let's start off with one of the most important ones, What do you do in order to prepare for your shows?
What do I do in order to prepare for my shows? I do numerous amount of things. I pray. I always give all grace and glory to God. I try to stay away from cold drinks. I like to drink warm temperature water. I rehearse. I make sure that I'm mentally and emotionally in the state of mind. And sometimes I have to get myself into certain emotions to tap back into certain lyrics that I wrote. So I'm monetizing emotional connection with my audience.
Okay, so you rehearse. How often do you rehearse before a show? Do you intensify the hours, or how do you work that out?
I rehearse as often as I can. I try and squeeze it in when I'm working out, if I'm running, if I'm cooking. If I know I have a show, so it definitely intensifies. I definitely rehearse way more than I normally would if I didn't have a show.
Okay. Now, you say you have to get in the right state of mind. I know a lot of basketball players and athletes, they just, blast music in their ears. What do you do to get in the right state of mind?
I like to dance in my living room. I like to work out. I like to meditate. I like to pray. And I definitely do blast music.
And yes, right before she goes on stage, she does all of that.
Yes, I do.
Wow, that's definitely a lot. Now, I do know that as an artist, you book studio time, of course, if you're releasing an album or anything of that nature. But what do you do with your studio time before a show? Do you book more time, or do you try to ease up on that, or how does that work?
I try to stay away from the studio when it comes to a show. I like to just focus on that show. I never know if it's going to be my first. I never know if it's going to be my last, so I give it my all. And I take it one step at a time. As far as studio time, I don't like to enter the studio unless I have a full project or projects prepared and ready to go to make my work ethic much easier for the engineer that's recording me.
Okay. Do you have different studios if you're traveling, or do you have one main studio that you work with?
Since I've been on the road and away from home, there's a few studios that have tried to record me, but I do have my main studio that's back home, which is the Hennessy Lounge.
Okay. Well, if you all ever in her area, which is California, right?
Los Angeles, California.
The Hennessy Lounge is a place to go to. Now, I do know that artist life can be very hectic, but what do you do? How do you do it to manage and balance, your professional artist life with your personal life? I mean, is that hard, or how do you work that out?
At first, I felt like it was hard, but I tend to keep my personal life away from my artist life, meaning social media. You won't ever really see me post pictures of my family. I do that just simply because I asked for this lifestyle, and certain people are going to make comments, and I don't want them to make it towards my family. It's something I've chosen. So I want to keep my personal life as personal as possible, and I just leave the business out there. But I do tend to show my support system and fans, what I'm doing from time to time. I try not to bore them or smother them with too much.
Okay. Now, I do know that when you're out and about, once you're well known and all this and that, people are taking pictures and asking for autograph. How do you balance that? If you're out to dinner with your family, if fans approach you, how do you handle that?
I think it just remind myself what I've chosen as my career path, and I have to remember that this is it's a 24-hour job. It never shuts off, you know.
Right.
So I just try and be as respectful as possible to both my fans and to my family. And my family is very understanding. They know the career path that I've chosen, and they know what comes with it. So I guess that helps to have people behind me that really do support me and understand the industry that I'm in.
That's very interesting because I know a lot of artists, you know, they want the glory, but they don't realize what sacrifices come with it. And, you know, for what you're telling me, personal life isn't optional sometimes. You know, you have to work and you have to pretty much be on the clock.
Pretty much, yeah, all the time. I think the only time that I really have to myself is when I'm alone by myself. And even then, sometimes my phone's going off, social media's going off, and I'm just like, I need a break. But, you know, I just remind myself that it's mental, and as long as I keep my head in the game and I tell myself that it's all temporary, it's a process, and it's part of the process, then it'll be okay.
Very interesting. Well, thank you so much for being here, for your input. I'm sure a lot of artists can learn from this and know that, you know, this life isn't easy. You know, there's a lot that you have to put into. But now let's talk to your manager. Let's see what perspective he has. Mr. Mike Fakir from Leonis Entertainment and Records. So, sir, why don't you tell me not only what you do in preparation, but how do you book Bianca or other artists for their shows? How do you go about the booking?
Okay, so first thing, let me clarify this. There's a lot of states that don't allow a manager to book by law. So therefore, I cannot book any artist. But I can have a booking agent, or I have relationships where people are looking for artists, and I can arrange that. But a lot of that just comes from cultivating a relationship. This is a relationship business. And if you're not working and cultivating relationships, you're not doing your job. I don't care if you're a manager, you're a booking agent, you're an artist, you're like any publicist, anything. You have to build relationships, and that's where it starts. So how do I help her get gigs and things of that nature? I talk to people, and I do have a friend who's a booking agent who helps point me in the right direction. If not, he gets taken care of. Like, you know, he'll help me ensure that that's well taken care of.
Okay. So through the booking process, how do you determine what's appropriate for her? What's in her best interest? What do you look for when people are asking to book her or things of that nature as a manager?
Well, first thing, I always think, what's in her best interest in her career? Are we reaching her target market, her core audience? If I'm not thinking about those things, then I'm not doing my job.
Okay.
So if it doesn't make sense, then no, she doesn't need to be attached to it. I need to make sure that she's addressing and performing in front of the right audience that's going to help expand her exposure and reach. And it makes sense. Like, I love the idea of collaborations with artists so they can cross-pollinate their market and, I mean, their audience. So people who are a fan of maybe one female artist can go ahead and hook up and be like, yo, I like her as well. Or another male artist. Hip-hop is hip-hop. Like, nobody ever sits there and compares, you know, male and female hip-hop artists. Like, this girl, her lyrics are dope, whether it's male or female. She's straight fire. Like, wow.
I have heard her music, and it is awesome.
Thank you.
But let me ask you, though. She is a Latina. Does that help you book? Because she is unique. You don't see a lot of Latinas or Latin hip-hop artists that are females, you know. Most of the part, of course, you do have your new hip-hop artists that are you know, like Nicki Minaj and, you know, Cardi B.
Yes.
But she's Latin, you know. She's different. She's unique. Does that help you, or does it make it difficult?
Absolutely. You know what? Her artistry does make my job easier, but not because she's a Latin or because she's a female. Her lyrics and the emotional connection she creates with her music is going to make my job easier in so many areas on each level because of what she's offering.
Okay. Now, I know, is it difficult to have the artist or manager relationship? How does that affect you, or how does it help you when you prepare for a show? What do you do as a manager to help her prepare, and what kind of relationship do you have in order to make that possible? Because she's already told us what she does. So where do you come in that whole process?
So it's funny because what we're talking about, there's so many different levels to what you're asking me. But I can tell you, our relationship, I mean, we've sat and we've watched football together. And you know, we sit and we eat and watch football and enjoy each other's company. So it's more than just an artist-management relationship. Like, there's that business aspect, but then there's also that personal, so we understand each other's mindset and thought process. So what I like about it is I understand who she is, she understands who I am. So before a show, I make sure I talk to the person that's about to perform, as opposed to just leaving it as, you know what, hey, just get up and knock it out. No, I know who you are.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting. Now, how do you balance your personal and business life? I know you have a lot on your plate. I mean, you have a lot to do with her. And then what about your personal life? Like business and personal, how does that go hand in hand?
I grew up in this. This is a family business. This is long-standing. And I've watched and learned from afar, from backstages. It's important to have that balance. But I also have my family incorporated. So therefore, a lot of times when we're working on projects, it is business and family. And I enjoy any moment I spend with my family all day, every day. So I make sure that everything we do, whether it's business related or if we're going to the beach, it's special.
Well, that's awesome. It seems like you and Bianca have that in common. And we're going to call her Binky, remember?
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being here. We've learned a lot. And once again, follow Binky on her social media, which is
@officialBinkyX, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Once again, I'm Haydee Cano, and this has been Backstage.
But hold on. I want to let you close out with the next 15 seconds of one of her good hits.
Oh, nice.
Up out of the blue. For 20 years, no word from you. I can't believe you left, I was two. Am I mad, am I happy, don't know what to do. I don't really want to blame you. Honestly, I like to thank you. Because of your absence, I still made it happen. I'm blessed, I'm so blessed. Achoo.
Thank you again, Binky, Mr. Mike Fakir, and this is Backstage.